Hello, lovelies. Welcome back to the Be Yourself Unapologetically podcast. So, today we're going to be diving into ADHD. But first of all, I just want to say this show is educational and not a medical diagnosis or treatment plan. If anything here raises concerns, speak to your GP or a qualified clinician and see the NICE guidelines for ADHD care in the UK. So, you know that weird ADHD magic trick where you can spend 6 hours straight building a Canva design, reorganising a cupboard, or levelling up in a game, but also lie in bed at 1 a.m. with your brain doing parkour so you can't relax? Today we're digging into both. Why ADHD gives you hyperfocus and why it also makes switching off so hard. Have you got the kettle on? It's time to make your cup of tea. You got it? So, shoulders down, let's go. So, what we mean by ADHD, hyperfocus, and can't relax. As we know, ADHD is a neurodevelopmental condition that persists into adulthood for many people and affects attention, impulse control, and activity level. It's not a motivation problem, it's a regulation problem of attention, arousal, emotion, and time. In the UK, practice is guided by the NICE NG87, which covers recognition, diagnosis, and management across the lifespan. Sometimes hyperfocus is that intense absorption in a task where everything else fades out, meals, pings on your phone, even your name. It's written about in the research literature as a distinct but related cousin of flow. A 2021 scholarly review describes hyperfocus as complete task absorption, and that's common in ADHD, especially when tasks are highly interesting or rewarding. So this is why we can go into something and be so on it that we burn ourselves out. So when people say, I can't relax, they usually mean one or more of these. My brain won't turn down because I've got racing thoughts. I can't shift gears from doing to resting, so you just can't stop doing what you're doing. I'm tired but can't sleep at a sensible time. That's because your brain is still fixed in hyper focus. So we'll touch the brain networks and body clocks behind that. So the brain systems behind both hyperfocus and switch off problems. I'm going to give you the science in plain English. The dopamine noradrenaline story, reward and salience. So ADHD involves differences in dopamine and noradrenaline signaling in the frontostriatal limbic circuits. These chemicals help your brain decide what's worth attention now and how much effort to deploy. Modern reviews summarise evidence that altered dopamine signalling contributes to ADHD traits. Noradrenergic networks are also implicated. Stimulant medications work largely by modulating these systems. So why does this matter for hyperfocus? When something is novel, urgent, fun, competitive or meaningful, dopamine says, yes, this, and your brain allocates sustained effort without the usual friction. That's hyperfocus territory. But why this matters for relaxing? If your arousal system runs a bit high or erratic, idle mode or resting can feel uncomfortable or under-rewarding, so the brain keeps seeking more stimulation. That can be like scrolling, ideas, micro tasks, instead of easing down. So arousal regulation, the brain's volume knob, A growing body of work frames ADHD as dysregulated brain arousal, difficulty keeping that volume knob at the right setting for the context. That explains variable performance, distractibility, and also the law of over-focus states when conditions line up just right. The default mode network, the DMN, these task networks. Your DMN hums along when you're not doing a demanding task. Mind wandering, self-talk, future planning. Task networks take the wheel when you're focused. In ADHD, evidence suggests more interference from the DMN during tasks and atypical connectivity between these networks, which can make gear shifting harder in both directions. The flip side, once locked in, ADHD brains can show stability on the chosen target. Think of it like the gate closes nicely after you're inside. That's hyperfocus again. So why does hyperfocus happen and when does it help? The hyperfocus literature said it's most likely when tasks are interesting or personally meaningful and provide immediate feedback or visible progress, are novel, challenging, or time-boxed with a bit of pressure. All of these conditions boost dopamine salience, making it easier to hold attention for ages. The upsides are deep work, creativity, learning sprints, vocational superpowers, pitfalls, skipped meals, ignored signals, tunnel vision, and difficulty re-engaging with life, admin, or rest. So, a quick check-in. If it's safe to do so, unclench your jaw, tiny shoulder roll, pause for 10 seconds. So, when people say they can't relax, it's because of 3 scientific culprits. A, circadian delay and sleep initiation. Adults with ADHD have much higher rates of sleep problems, especially delayed sleep-wake phase. The body clock runs late, melatonin rises later, and sleep onset gets pushed towards 1 to 3 a.m. Multiple studies and UK expert consensus highlight this pattern and its impact on next day function. When your clock is late, you can feel tired yet still wired at midnight. It's not laziness, it's biology. And B, emotional dysregulation. Up to 2/3 of adults with ADHD experience significant emotion regulation difficulties. Fast swings, rejection sensitivity, rumination. That emotional noise keeps the brain on, sabotaging relaxation. Systematic reviews and recent studies frame emotional dysregulation as core to many adults' ADHD picture. Right, so now C, time perception differences, as what we normally call time blindness. Many adults with ADHD perceive time as slippery. Minutes evaporate in hyperfocus and expand when bored. Reviews and meta-analyses show consistent time perception impairments in ADHD, affecting estimation and reproduction of intervals. If bedtime in 20 minutes feels unreal, downshifting naturally slips. So putting it together with one brain and the 2 extremes. So hyperfocus happens when salience and arousal line up and DMN quiets elegantly. But can't relax happens when arousal runs high, DMN chatters, and the body clock is delayed, and emotions, time, feel unruly. Same system, but completely different context. So what the UK guidelines say, in brief, the NICE recommends psychoeducation, environmental adjustments, and, when appropriate, medication and psychological intervention delivered by trained professionals. It also advises assessing sleep and lifestyle factors as part of care. If you're in the if you're in the UK, start with your GP for referral pathways. Practical toolkit, evidence-informed, ADHD friendly. Use these experiments, keep the ones that work and ditch the rest. Make relaxation as salient as work. Pair wind down with an instant reward cue, a favourite tea, a cosy playlist, a heated blanket even. Turn relaxation into a tiny challenge. 5 minutes of nothing but breath. Tick the box. Small wins drive dopamine. Time box both hyperfocus and rest. Use a visible timer or smart speaker. 25 on, 5 off. 3 rounds max. Then a 10-minute reset. Park it note. Leave a one-line next step before you stop, and it makes restarting painless and reduces anxiety. These tactics align with how hyperfocus triggers are described in the literature: novelty, feedback, gamified structure. Circadian nudges for late sleepers. So light timing. Bright light soon after waking, dim warm light 2 to 3 hours before bed. Screens. Enable warm tints in the evening or use app level dark modes. Regular rise. That trumps a perfect bedtime routine. Talk to your clinician about whether melatonin timing or light therapy is appropriate for you. The adult evidence is evolving and should be clinician guided in the UK. Emotion down regulation that's realistic. Name it to tame it. One word for the current feeling. Body first. 4 slow breaths, long exhales, a 60-second wall push to burn off motor restlessness. If-then scripts. If I'm ruminating after 10 p.m, then I switch to an audiobook at 0.8 times speed. Research underscores the prevalence and impact of emotional dysregulation in adult ADHD. Protect health basics the ADHD way. Eat earlier when you can. Hyperfocus often bulldozes meals. Keep water and protein within arm's reach during deep work to avoid hard crashes. Micro movement. 2 minutes per hour. Shake out, stairs, stretch. It stabilizes the arousal. So, mini practice from doing to being. If you're safe and comfortable, just try this with me. Sit back, let your eyes rest on one point or close them. Inhale through the nose for 4. Exhale for 6. On the exhale, quietly think down. Your thoughts sprint off, no drama. Gently notice one sensation. Feet on the floor, air on the face, weight of the clothing. Then do 3 more breaths like that. Now pause for 20 seconds. Now open your eyes and choose one of a sip of water, a shoulder roll, or a stretch. That's it. Micro relaxation counts. FAQ lightning round. Is hyperfocus official in the diagnosis? So it's not as a DSM symptom, but is sufficiently described in peer-reviewed literature to be considered a common ADHD experience, with the theoretical links to flow. So why can I relax after midnight but not at 10 p.m? So it's likely circadian timing. Your melatonin may rise later, so your natural sleepy window is shifted, adjusting the light and wake up time gradually. But discuss options with your clinician. So do stimulants make relaxing worse? Well, that always depends on dose and timing and the individual. For many, appropriate treatment reduces late night restlessness by stabilising daytime regulation. Again, discuss timing with your prescriber under the NICE guidance. Is my time blindness real or just disorganisation? It's real enough to show up in lab tasks and reviews. Estimating, reproducing or monitoring time can be harder in ADHD. Translation: you're not lazy, your internal clock is quirky. So a 5-point personal plan. Say it out loud. I'll harness hyperfocus with time boxes and a park it note. 2, I'll schedule rest like a meeting and give it a reward cue. 3, I'll shift my clock with a morning light and a steady get-up time. 4, I'll down-regulate emotions with breath and body first. Then 5, I'll ask my GP about ADHD supports aligned with the NICE NGA7. So let's recap. ADHD is about regulation, not willpower. Hyperfocus equals high salience plus stable arousal plus quiet DMN. When you can't relax, it's arousal too, but it's arousal too high, a late body clock, and emotion and time differences. Work with your wiring, structure stimulation for tasks, reward for rest, light for clocks, and simple body tools for your emotions. Use the NICE aligned care pathways in the UK. If this episode helped, share it with someone who's mastered organising the sock drawer at 2 a.m. but can't unwind at 10 p.m. Same brain, different context, and you can train the context. Breathe in and a long breath out. You have got this. So if you want to do some further reading, I'm going to give you a few resources. So look for the NICE NGA7 that has ADHD recognition, diagnosis and management within the UK. Hyperfocus Review, Ashenoff and Abu Akel, 2021. Dopamine in ADHD. Look that up too. Arousal dysregulation state regulation in ADHD. Do further research. Default mode network. Interference, connectivity in ADHD. Also research the circadian delay and sleep in adults with ADHD. DSPS links, UK consensus on delayed sleep onset. Time perception differences in adult ADHD reviews, meta-analysis.